Lockdown has been extended for another 2 weeks in South Africa, and it has left South African parents in a flurry over what's happening to their kids' education. Now, the education minister has come out and says they're looking at options as to how to handle the academic year. So, today on the show, I'm going to provide you with all of the resources you need to make sure that your kids are on track academically for the year, including all the links.
Welcome to the Wealth Nation podcast, a podcast for every mother, daughter, grandmother, sister, and wife, and the men who are smart enough to tune in. The Wealth Nation podcast brings you all you need to know about investments, business, property investments, personal finance, and all-around financial wellness. Here is your host, Yolanda Rose.
Thanks for joining me on episode 45 of the Wealth Nation podcast. I am financial advisor and wealth coach Yolanda Rose Harry Prasad, and every week I bring you content and strategies that you can use to manage your money well and to build generational wealth. If it's the first time that you're tuning in, thanks for joining us. Consider subscribing to this podcast on whichever platform that you're listening on, be it YouTube. We're available on Spotify and Apple iTunes as well. And I would really appreciate it if you could leave me an honest review of this podcast on iTunes or on my Facebook page. It's Financially Fabulous Females on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, and on Instagram as well. So I would love to connect with you on any one of those social media platforms. If you have something for me to cover on the show, please mail me. My email address is yolanda@financiallyfabulousfemales.com. The Wealth Nation podcast is sponsored by Audible. Audible is a seller and producer of spoken audio entertainment, information, and educational programming on the internet. Audible sells digital audiobooks, radio and TV programs, and audio versions of magazines and newspapers. For a 30-day free trial of Audible, go to www.financiallyfabulousfemales.com/audible. And now the President Ramaphosa has extended the lockdown, which it was a big decision for him. He has put a greater emphasis on human life over the economy, and it's something that I respect of the man. But the kids are affected. They are away from school, and even when the lockdown is over, it doesn't mean to say that it's safe to go out in society. Will it still be safe for your kids to go to school? Being condensed in a classroom of 30 to 35, at some cases you shoulder to shoulder with the next student, is it going to be safe for your kids? But whatever the case is, the Minister of Education has come out and said that they're looking at options for this academic year, or whether they're going to condense the year, change up the curriculum a bit, can do away with holidays, or even promote kids to the next grade automatically. And so there's no backlog for next year when it comes to the grade R's entering grade 1. And also we don't want any fallback from the matriculants that could go into university. There's talk about the first year professors at universities doing some sort of bridging course. Lots of options are being discussed. We don't have much power as parents to do anything right now, just to make our voice heard. You can write to the Minister of Education as well. I think they are taking feedback from parents. But what can we do in the meantime? Now, the government has really come out in support and provided a lot of resources. It all has to be online just because of the nature of the situation. We can't be face-to-face with any sort of educator or child at this point. So there's tons of resources available. I really feel for those kids that do not have the resources to go online. They don't have data. They don't have an internet connection. They don't have tab or a smartphone to get access to this information. So I really hope government puts some emphasis on those kids to somehow get them in track, send out some notes or parcels out to whatever locations they're at, so they don't fall behind during this academic year. But those that do have the resources, there's tons of material available, and I have to commend the Department of Education. They really go all out on the only platform that they can at this point, which is digital. And we see that South African Telecommunications Network have 0-rated many learning sites, which means that materials can be downloaded for free. And this makes a huge difference to parents who have limited data plans and are worried about running up your internet connection bills. So Telkom has 0-rated websites of universities, technical and vocational training colleges and provide links to maths and science learning pages as well. Now, something that I use for my kids is Khan Academy, is also zero rated on the telecom network. And this provides a massive online learning resources to a global audience. So a lot of the history and stuff like that, they're geared to the American audience, but the maths is really basic, it's simple, condensed videos, easy to understand, fun and interactive. My kids at various grades, from grade 4, grade 2, and grade 1, they are all engaging on Khan Academy, and there's quizzes afterwards, and they get tested afterwards, and there's a whole progression online that you can see. So even after the lockdown, Khan Academy is a great supplementary resource for your kids. MTN and Vodacom have also come on board, and they've zero-rated many learning sites. And Vodacom even provides a very comprehensive zero-rated e-school portal with extensive learning content for grade R's to grade 12. So you can visit their website now. I've got links to all of the resources that I am sharing with you today. Go to the show notes on whichever platform you're listening to this podcast at, or you can visit www.financiallyfabulousfemales and look for the show page. And it's episode 45, so look for the show page and you'll get all of the links there. Vodacom is also zero-rated Mindset. Now that's a website, an African website, which is a learning platform that has creative and inspiring videos that supports learning in a wide range of subjects. And I found that this is great for secondary students. I think there's a lot of content there for grade 10s, 11s, and 12s on maths and science and all of those subjects that they need. Raising financially savvy children involves teaching them a variety of aspects, from budgeting to planning to earning and saving. Besides giving them an understanding of the value of a rand, teaching children about their fiscal responsibility helps prepare them for the real world. Financial literacy is a vital skill, and it is never too early to teach kids about money. Many parents wonder how they can teach their kids about money and where to find age-appropriate resources. You can now download my free financial literacy lessons for kids, particularly primary school kids, at www.financiallyfabulousfemales.com/finance for kids. This ebook provides you with sample lessons, activities, lesson plans, discussion points, and quizzes that you can use to test your kids' knowledge on the financial literacy program that I've put in place for your kids.
Like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss a show by subscribing on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Tuned In. Now back to the show.
Siyavula is an education technology organization providing high school maths and science practice questions for free with online books for students. Now, this site is also zero-rated by MTN and Vodacom. So if you are on those platforms for your internet or your cell phones, you can access this website for free at siyavula.com. Another amazing resource that I found to be quite in-depth was the UNESCO website, which has a useful list of platforms that can provide online learning materials, free books, free websites, learning applications for different subject areas and different languages as well. Now you can visit the UNESCO website, or you can check out the show notes for the link on how you can get to that page. It has tons of resources. An immense amount of resources. Now, note that this is on a global scale. And if you're looking to expand your child's curriculum, expand it from the typical IEB and CAPS, this would be a great resource. There's lots of coding stuff in there as well. Now, if you want to be more proactive and you want to assess your kids in a fun way, there's applications that you can use to do that, such as Socrative and Kahoot, which is easy to use. Basically, you put the quiz online and the child will access the quiz and answer the questions. It can be multiple choice questions, short answer questions, true or false questions. You just put it on there. The child can access it. You can even do a pre-test and a post-test. I actually did this at a corporate level. So the Socrative platform is something that I prefer. But go and check out these platforms. It's engaging for the kids, especially the younger kids. Now, I know a lot of teachers have set up WhatsApp groups for the parents in the classes that they teach. There are other apps that can be used if you do have a tech-savvy teacher that is willing to go online. And Edmodo is an app that teachers can use to share engaging lessons, to keep parents updated, and to build a classroom community. So the app has been redesigned recently to meet with the challenges and how people communicate with their students, with parents, and also with other teachers as well. So students can log in, they can participate from any phone or tablet or computer, and the app will allow teachers to facilitate discussions with the entire class or check and individually with direct messages. So they can help students to stay organized with an automatically updated planner. So if you do have that tech-savvy teacher that's involved in your kid, share that option with them. Go check out the Edmodo app and share the option. Maybe online lessons can be started. It's sad to it's sad to know that not all parents have the resources and the abilities to give their children the digital education. But I mean, we can't let all the kids fall behind. Whoever can progress digitally. The others will have to get lesson plans as the teacher provides, but we have to wait on government to see what solutions that they are providing. Then there's Kids Search, which is basically Wiki for kids. It's a great resource for children to learn about subjects like history, geography, maths, and science. And for parents who are keen on free coding lessons in South Africa, check out South Africa's very own Code Space, which will be running virtual classes in coding. Though this subject does have a pre-application process. So you got to have the tools. You can't just use a phone or something like that. Some coding apps are acceptable with a tablet. Others prefer the laptop. But go check out CodeSpace, link in the show notes, and do the pre-application. Maybe your kids can come out of this lockdown with some sort of education that they didn't have prior. Now there's MWeb Learning. This site does require to either have an MWeb account, a Tiscali account, or an iAfrica membership, and it offers excellent resources for schoolgoers of all ages in South Africa. So on this site, you can get textbooks, you can get past exam papers, school projects, and a lot more. There's also a forum board for learners who can use to ask questions, which MWeb's panel of experts will respond to. Now, recently, the Education Department announced its partnership with African Teen Geeks to provide STEM education. Now, STEM is the acronym for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics Learning. Now, this portal is for grade R right up to grade 12. Now, all of this happens on YouTube, and as far as I can tell, this is not zero rated. There's a full schedule of lessons that happen that start from 8 a.m. in the morning. So you're keeping the school time. They are on a YouTube page. So go and check out the African Geeks YouTube page on YouTube. I'll also post a link in the show notes as well. Now, as much as our kids are missing out on classroom time and academics, there's so much more that can be learned outside the classroom that the school just does not teach. And I, for one, feel that personal finances should be taught in schools, but are not. So it's kind of up to the parents to instill this kind of training in the home. I didn't have much money training when I was in school. And I know that these are things that they should have taught me in high school at the very least. And when it comes to budgeting, it comes down to living within our means. And most adults are not even taught to do this. Now, if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, you know how I emphasize on budgeting. One of my earlier episodes are dedicated to this. So if you don't know how to do this, how are you going to teach your kids to do it? And it's an essential skill. I mean, South Africa is so much in debt right now, and simple budgeting can rectify a good amount of the problem. So learning budgeting is a simple matter of tracking expenses, deciding how much to spend in each area of your life and sticking to that plan. So it's an easy concept to teach in schools, but it's not being done. When it comes to saving or investing, the concept of paying yourself first is a simple concept where you are focusing on saving or investing with your time and where you'll get the most return. So we all know that if we wait and we save what's left at the end of the month, that's never going to happen. So savings concepts need to be taught to kids as young as possible. In fact, my 5-year-old saves $100 a month. into her bank account, all because I drill financial literacy at home. So go and check out my free download at www.financiallyfabulousfemales.com/finance for kids. And on that page, you can sign up to receive my free sample plan on how you can. It's just a teaser actually of an ebook that I put together with a financial literacy curriculum aimed at primary school South African kids. So the book is created from a perspective of a South African parent, what we need to know for that's age appropriate for our children. So go and download. I have 2 sample lessons there that gives you activities, it gives you talking points, it gives you quizzes that you can do with your child during this period. Another thing that is not taught in school is entrepreneurship. Now, Mark Cuban says that we should teach our kids to be entrepreneurs because it will teach them important skills. And unfortunately, the school system is more grooming children to be a doctor, to be a lawyer, to be an accountant. And we're missing that opportunity because nobody ever says, hey, let's be an entrepreneur. So maybe we should be teaching entrepreneurship in schools. And we know that this is a gap. So if it's not taught in school and you know that your kid needs to know it, you need to start teaching it at home. I know the big argument here is that they don't teach entrepreneurship because it's not something that can be taught. Now, I've often heard that entrepreneurs just drop out of school anyways. But how many more kids could grow up to create amazing businesses if we did actually teach this in school? And many entrepreneurial concepts are teachable. So I want you to go check out a resource. It's www.kidpreneur.online. And in there is various programs, various resources for how you can start teaching your kids entrepreneurship at home. Another thing that's not taught in school is mindset and thinking. So if parents want to give their children a gift, the best thing that they can do is teach their children to love challenges. Be intrigued by mistakes, enjoy effort, and keep on learning. That way, children don't have to be slaves to praise. You don't want recognition all the time. You're not posting selfies on Facebook just to get that like. They will have a lifelong way to build and repair their own confidence. Now, I was reading a book recently by Carol Dweck that explains the growth mindset and the fixed mindset. It's best that you go to the show notes page for this on my website. And in there, I put a nice diagram that shows Carol Dweck, who she is a PhD, describes the 2 mindsets where you have that fixed mindset where they are avoiding challenges, they give up easily, they put minimum effort, and they don't really take criticism, and they get very insecure with somebody else's success. Whereas a growth mindset is challenging, embraces challenges, they persist. Even when they face setbacks, a growth mindset will persist. They see effort as a path to mastery. So they enjoy the effort. They're willing to make that effort when they see those results, and they learn from criticism. And people with a growth mindset find lessons and inspiration in the success of others and don't feel insecure and small when others are succeeding. So it's important to distinguish if your child has the fixed mindset, we got to break that now. While they are young, we got to cross them over to that growth mindset. So if you haven't read this book, maybe try and get it on Audible. You know that Audible is a sponsor of this podcast. So go to the free page where you can get a free download from Audible. It's www.financiallyfabulousfemales.com/Audible. Now here you can sign up, click on the link, sign up for Audible. You will be required to put in your credit card or debit card details. Do that. You will not be charged. So once you do that, you'll get access to Audible for 30 days. And you can go and check out this book, The 2 Mindsets by Carol S. Dweck. And make sure that you cancel before the 30-day period so you get to enjoy the books and you will not be charged for it. Now, creativity is also something that's not taught in school. The imagination is more important than knowledge, and knowledge is limited where imagination encircles the world. Now, it was Albert Einstein who said that. Now, I get it. Most schools have art class, and this is also something that's been taken away. I remember when I was in high school, they did away with music lessons, and I was really upset about that. Kids also have the choice to join a band. Now, there are few good writing teachers out there, but the one who truly understands the importance of creativity. Now, those people are lacking. Now, the school system tends to talk about creativity like it's something extra that is optional for kids to do. But I feel that fostering creativity should be mandatory, especially when your kids are younger. So during this time, during lockdown, do some exercises at home to start sparking your kids' activity. Ask them to write a little bit more. If they're not at the age of writing, draw pictures to tell a story. Use art to tell a story. Use the painting to tell a story. Foster all levels of creativity with colors and coloring, and there's so much that can be done. So that's it for me on this episode of the Wealth Nation podcast. I know I am a bit off topic because I'm not really talking about money, but education is wealth. Listen to this podcast again if you have to. Go back and check all of the links, see which is a good fit for you. And don't forget to download my free financial literacy lesson book, www.financiallyfabulousfemales.com/finance for kids.
Thanks for tuning in. Make sure to visit our website at www.financiallyfabulousfemales.com and sign up for our free investment masterclass.